one of the favorite things I like to say is, both sex and money are two conversations we don't really have with our children. So financial empowerment is not just about being the decision maker about where I spend the money, but I think it's more about knowing where my money is. Women should be involved in the decision making and not say that I don't know, I don't care, or I don't want to know.
This is the 41st episode of Dream 100 Show with Mrs. Ratnasri Karra, founder of Her-Mony. In today's episode, we talk to Mrs. Ratnasri Karra, an investment advisor and founder of Her-Mony. The whole purpose of starting this amazing concept as well as this organization is that women have a safe space to have an intelligent conversation regarding their finances, engage themselves in financial decision making, and plan for a better and a future which is brighter ahead. Financial fitness is a must for every individual and every family. It can no longer be ignored. So now let's understand how to start this journey of financial safety and security with the expert advisor herself on Dream 100 Show. And let's hear it out from her right here, right now. Welcome to Dream 100 Show, listener. I'm your host, Savita Hosamani. Each week, we interview today's most successful and inspiring business owners with winning teams who had the courage to chase their dreams in spite of all their challenges. Or we go on to explore one aspect of evolving business owners, cultivating their inner strengths for personal growth, which will impact business profits positively. Join us as we bring you everything that goes on in the minds of successful business owners during decision-making process and gain insights to make smarter decisions. So welcome to Dream 100 Show. Thank you so much for accepting this invite. It's truly an honor and pleasure to have you here on this show.
Thank you, Savita, for having me here. I'm honored to be here myself. Thank you.
Let's get started. My one curious question is, why Her-Mony and not His-Mony or Our-Mony?
So I think the story of Her-Mony is definitely a little bit about my own life journey. And it happens across the world, right? Where people have been brought up to believe that it's a man's job to take care of finances and a woman's job to take care of home. So his money has always existed. And for men who've been collaborative, our money also exists. You don't have to specify it, but it exists. But women don't take responsibility or onus unless, a need arises, in desperate situations. So typically, they have not been the people who take the onus for financial responsibility. I went through a journey where, both in terms of knowledge as well as experience that I got into the need for managing finances. So I personally felt that there is a need gap there, and therefore Her-Mony. It's an attempt to help women to take ownership of their financial lives. And for men who ask me, why not the men? Why do you do this only for women? So I said, it's not like that. It's that if I teach your, daughter, mother, or spouse to manage money, isn't it a service for you as well? Because a lot of the time men are cribbing about how women spend the money and, have all these fancy ideas that they, and so they find that a drain for themselves. It's a great service for men as well. So his money and our money is something that is already available. And this is an effort in one direction. So therefore, I'm building the story as such.
Awesome. So here, I have been interacting with women during my consultation time, and I see like most of the women employees, however big a position it is, still, prior to marriage, they hand over the finances to their salary, basically their salary either to their dad, or after marriage, it is the husband's responsibility to take care of the salary, and they get a small pocket money. And they say that there is no enough money to spend. So how do you expect us to save? Or everything, all major decisions, like my husband or my dad takes care of.
True. So here's the thing, right? It's not like men are inborn with financial skills. Actually, it isn't true. However, because they've been brought up to believe that they have to do it, they just take charge, just like women take charge of running the kitchen or raising their kids. So that's our normal behavior. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. But just like we are asking our men today to be responsible towards raising the kids, maybe staying at home when the woman goes out, to take care of the kitchen as well, because I meet a lot of young men who do the same. So if we want that, then should we not also take the other responsibility? So when we're sharing, it has to be 50-50, and it should be in various forms, right? So I think there is a need for this. So if you want this change, then you should accept the other change. That's the way I see it. So financial empowerment is not just about, no, being the decision maker about where I spend the money, but I think it's more about knowing where my money is and what purpose it is serving. So if your man has made mistakes, were you involved in the decision making to say, no, maybe this is not a great idea? So you need to have your voice. And two people make better decisions together, especially when it is for the common purpose. So that is what I was saying earlier also, that Her-Mony is about harmony. And that can be brought when the woman is an equal partner in that decision making process. So she doesn't have to do everything. It's not like she has to become the sole breadwinning person, and so she has to take all the investment decisions. That's not what we are talking about. What we're talking about is, do you know? Do you know all the right things? Can you hold back your own spouse if he makes a mistake? Can you have an intelligent conversation with him, engage him, and maybe sometimes guide him on the right path too? He may not have the time to think, because the woman knows about all the family members. She knows what her parents need. She knows what the in-laws want. She knows what the children aspire to be. Sometimes the men are not even aware of it. And so when she knows all these things, is she in a position to plan for all of this? She is, if she involves in the decision making. So I think women should be involved in the decision making and not say that I don't know, I don't care, or I don't want to know.
Yeah, beautiful. I think this is a very beautiful line which you said. The last line makes a lot of sense. Awesome. So here I have a question. See, when a girl starts going to a job, as soon as she starts being financially independent, there is a certain amount of freedom which she experiences. So, I think we all have been through that journey where we splurge with our credit cards, we make extensive trips, do extensive shopping. But when it comes to savings or handling, because only when there is a tax issue, we hand it over to some third party and we say that please take care of my taxes. That's it. We're not even worried. What are the basic things which, when a girl starts earning, that she should keep in mind, that irrespective of whatever the journey is, with whether her partner is good, bad, or whatever, they have to be financially secure, right? So what steps they should take?
So I think the first thing about, finance and investments, and which most of us try to ignore, is finance is not about just investing. It's about your own money behavior. And that's exactly what you've captured beautifully, because what happens all our life, especially girls when they're young, right? The mother or father gives them pocket money and says, okay, this is the amount of money you have, this is where you spend from. And so that's where they spend the money from. So the moment they start earning, obviously it's a sense of freedom. It's my hard-earned money and it's my choice, and I want to be responsible for those choices, so I will make those choices. Now choices can be anything. It could be spending, it could be saving, it could be investing, it could be anything. And obviously it's going to be spending if their entire upbringing is about not allowing them to spend or not allowing them to make choices. So I think for parents, I would always say that whatever you do, raise your children responsibly with money as well as everything else. Give them the responsibility with smaller amounts and teach them to take responsibility for whatever they do with it, and let them do whatever, because that's the only way you will make them independent. So that's for parents. And for children, so if you handle that well, children will transition into investing fairly easier, and there is no problem in that space. But for those who've not been constrained or said that you can't do it, obviously there will be a sense of freedom and you will want to spend. So the way we work, and I do work with a lot of young girls as well, is that we let them think through about what it is that they want for themselves in their lives as they are going along the journey. And typically it's a lot for young people, there's a lot of peer pressure, and that's where they spend their money. However, if you can reconnect them to themselves, they do have the capability of understanding what behavior comes from peer pressure, what comes from within, and what comes from family pressures. So when they're able to distinguish, they make the right choices.
But most of them, at least from what I have seen, is they do not even have the awareness that this is what is leading me to behave in such and such a way. As you said, peer pressure. When it comes to peer pressure, people invest on flashy cars or expensive jewelry, which might not be a great investment at the moment. Okay, like what are the steps where we should take, where we feel that a person is financially stable, at least for a certain period of time? Because when I have seen in most of the ads, they say start early so that you can have a peaceful and a happy life later on. So how do we or how do you bring in that concept into these young minds?
So I think, one of the favorite things I like to say is, both sex and money are two conversations we don't really have with our children. And it's, so at some level, we need to have these conversations. Firstly, as parents, we need to have it with our children. Secondly, all parents do not know everything. Why do we send our children to school or college? Because they learn from those environments. So I have to say that today there are a lot of people who are doing good quality work. There is a lot of good quality work going on in terms of financial education. And you need to, make sure that your child is getting that opportunity. If you're talking about your child, or if you're a young person who's listening to this conversation, I think you should avail yourself of those opportunities of learning. There is a lot of information available on the internet, which can be misleading as well, because if it is coming from someone who's promoting a product, it could be misleading. So you need to understand, where is this information coming from? Is it coming from a neutral source? Is it coming from someone who's got a product to sell? Where is it coming from? And there are a lot of good people doing good work as well. So if you go to just people who are doing simple awareness for finances, it's a great place to start. And of course, today there are advisors like us who are there, who do individually, who work with clients individually. So that is another place where you could go to work with advisors, because we are registered with SEBI, we have licenses, we work with compliances, we don't do product selling.
Awesome.
So if you work with them, you will get the right path as well.
When we are choosing a financial advisor, what are the points that we should keep in mind?
So if you're starting for the first time, you could even work with distributors. They don't give you advice, but they give you an opportunity to start investing through products. An advisor's role is to look into all the other aspects of investing, which includes your behavior. We work with the client and we charge only the client. So you need to look at the experience of the person, what licenses they have, their qualifications, their experience and licenses that they have. Evaluate it, because today SEBI compliance ensures that all of this has to be put on your website. All information is available, is meant to be available. So when you're going to somebody, I think you should just research who they are, where they are, what qualifications, experience do they have, and what is it that they are providing. All the information is right at the bottom of their websites. So most people don't understand, but it's very simple. Just go to the bottom of the website, see what license numbers they talk about, read up on those. Everything is available on the internet. We start reading the products or the information first, but the basic information is right at the bottom of the website.
Oh, I think this is a very useful tip. Like you have to go to the bottom of the website and then look up to the person and then make a decision. Great. When it comes to entrepreneurs, see, for entrepreneurs, always, like whatever they earn, they feel that reinvesting back into the business is itself a great saving or an investment. But they also should bear in mind that say circumstances like COVID might arise, where the working capital is not like they would be deriving from just the previous months turnover. They'll be using that as the working capital for the coming months. So when COVID struck, what we saw was a lot of businesses had to shut down, or they went into a grave financial crunch. So what advice do you think you can give entrepreneurs, and especially women entrepreneurs?
So, when it comes to financial planning, no, and this is the truth about financial behavior. When everything is going good, we think it's all because of ourselves. We think we are good, everything is good, and there's this positive feeling that nothing can go wrong. And that is the place that people operate from. And but then that's the whole beauty about planning. A good entrepreneur is always a planner, and you need to plan for the future, both in terms of growth and in terms of setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So entrepreneurship is all about facing setbacks, and setbacks well. Now, setbacks can come from various sources. COVID was one of a kind, but it's not the only time there has been a setback at a global level, right? So setback can happen for an entrepreneur at any point in time in their business. So it could be a setback which affects everybody across the world. It could be a setback which affects their industry. It could be a setback that affects their company. So you have to be prepared as an entrepreneur to deal with those. And that comes from financial planning. That comes from planning for your working capital, as well as reinvesting for your business growth. So it should be planned if you really want to do it well. Even through that journey, it is never a straight line. It is always ups and downs. But that planning is something that helps you see through. So yes, COVID has seen a lot of entrepreneurs who did not believe in planning, who did not have forethought, to go through a lot of difficulty. And very little can be done about it. Of course, it also became an opportunity for you to do business differently. And for those who reinvented themselves, have managed to bounce back. Mm-hmm. And there have been a lot of people I am aware of who've had to literally, hide for a while, somehow sustain themselves, and then come out of it. So planning goes a long way. That is one part. And the other part is, whenever you're a business entrepreneur, you really need to segregate your personal finances from what goes into the business. Because when a setback hits, you have an opportunity to close the business, but personally not suffer losses to an extent where you're not able to sustain family, your own basic needs. That is becomes a very, very difficult situation to be in. So you must always segregate your personal finances and your entrepreneur journey.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think government should make it mandatory, like how they go in for compliances. Even financial planning should be a compliance, because it will actually help them in the long run.
Absolutely. Before you start on an entrepreneurship journey, you should have tucked away some funds to say that, this is what I'm willing to lose. And this is what I'm going to pump into the business. And after that, you can say, okay, now I'm generating revenues. And so that revenue, I take back home again. And this is that thin line people don't want to make. They have to draw that line where they say, okay, from here, this, everything that I'm earning, some has to come back into my personal kitty, and some gets pumped back into the business. So not all has to go back.
Mm-hmm. So in your experience, can you share any examples of how people have planned well, or how you helped them to plan well, and how they were able to come out of a crisis because of planning?
So in fact, COVID itself was a wonderful example. So when I had started a lot of my clients, they had not experienced anything like COVID. And when we were doing the investment journey for some of my clients, I cannot tell you the details, but there were at least 2 or 3 clients who had a more aggressive risk profile. And every time I would tell them that, you know what, don't put all your money into these higher risk products. We'll balance it out because your risk profile recommends that we balance it out a bit. But at that moment, because we still hadn't heard of COVID, right? Everything sounded great. And they had the money. So they were like, no, 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 we can do this. And I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to do multiple things. However, it took a lot of effort to convince them as to why this is important and why we do it in a particular way and all of that. And as it happened when COVID hit, many of them have had income cuts. So those who were entrepreneurs, they lost the steady stream of income that was coming. For those who had salaried jobs, there were one or two I know clients who had to take a salary cut as well. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, at that point in time, the market had also crashed, if you remember.
Yes.
And in the beginning, the market had completely crashed. And these were the clients who suddenly said, I am not afraid. I don't know how long this is going to be. Nobody knew how long. But suddenly, they didn't have fear. They suddenly said, okay, I know I'm sorted. I know I'm sorted. And when the market went up, these were the people who actually, because they were invested in lower risk products, they were able to actually even enter the market.
Wow.
When the market started moving out and actually generate the kind of return which helps. And none of this is drastic, because we always hear the positive stories of investing. Nobody will talk to you about their negative experience with investing. It's only the advisors who hear these stories, but typically outside nobody will go and tell. Right? So you only hear positive stories, so you believe everything is going to go great. But, and so when the market goes, we made so much money, but who made the money and who lost the money? When somebody makes money, somebody loses money as well. So that is the journey that we need to be prepared for.
Awesome. Most of them are not even aware of the fact that there is something called as inflation. See, if you start investing when you're in your 30s or 40s, still you have some time to make up. But what we see is suddenly, like after people come to their 50s, they see huge responsibility. And then they realize that, I should have done the planning. So if somebody is in their 50s and they want to start now, is there an option for them to start somewhere and still be a little bit stable?
So, in investing, we say that the best time to invest was 20 years ago. And the next best time is now. So if you have not started already, it's never a bad time to start. So there are processes that we use to understand how we can help clients achieve their utmost potential. So we cannot do magic as advisors. At the same time, it's not like things are not possible. So we work together. So advisors work with the clients to make sure that we make it possible for them. So when you work with the client, so it's not like we do everything. We make the clients also work towards solutions, how we can make things possible.
Awesome. See, I just saw some time back a video related to financial planning. In that, the person says that each one of us should have 4 accounts. One is your salary or your income account, and the other is your with your spouse, and the other is your own personal account, which nobody has a say in it. Only the person who is operating the account, they should be having that account. And one more is the savings account. So do you also advise that every person should have 4 accounts like that?
So I think when I talk about advice, I said everything has to be personalized. So we personalize it. But what you heard, in a sense, makes sense, because we are saying we're putting it in different buckets. So yes, we do advise people to use different buckets. Now, what you use as a bucket could be your own choice. But I think the intention here is to talk about 2-3 important things. One is an account where money comes and money goes out of. It's just a place where you capture it, right? So your salary comes in and investment happens. So you capture it in different places. One which is used for common expenses. So, whatever is common goes through one. So that's one bucket. One is your income bucket. So where you're just, controlling, because an income bucket can also be used for investing. That's what we normally do. Because we say first you tuck away for investment and then you pull out what you need for expenses. And that's a great way to work. So then comes your personal ideas. So it doesn't have to be through different accounts, but what is important is that to address those as issues, that what we spend for a common pool is different. We must also have a personal pool, and we must have an investment pool, which is for long term.
Okay, see here, some businesses, they are doing extremely well. So when the profitability is high, and they have to pay a lot of taxes to the government. So during that time, because now 30% straight away goes for taxing money. And that is where what they do is, in order to avoid taxing, they go and invest on expensive cars. And again, which is a recurring expense if at all you look at it in the long run. So what advice do you give to such people? How can they utilize that money in the best way?
So, when it comes to taxes, there's just one way of thinking. And I find that people just think in so many multiple ways, right? So tax is something which we have to pay to the government. It comes in various forms. You pay as either income tax, you pay either as capital gains tax, you pay either as GST, you pay either as your dividend distribution tax or whatever. So tax has to be paid to the government, irrespective of who we are and what we do. Okay, so business related income also, you pay tax from the business side, corporate tax. The question is, what do we want to do about it? So the first thing is to understand, can we reduce? Because if we reduce by doing all the right things, the whatever is can be the tax outflow, I think that is the most important thing to do. Beyond that, pay the taxes to the government. Now, there are two sides to it. Why do we not want to do it, right? Because we don't trust the government. That is a different story to deal with. That is a political decision making, right? So I would say to people who really want to, who have, political decision making that they want to do, then I think go exercise your franchise. Go vote. Go work with parties. Involve yourself politically if you really want to make that difference. Right? Make those choices. Speak to your chartered accountants and make them, because they also have a kind of, it's what we call an interest group who influence government policies and things like that. So work through policy makers to influence the change that you want to do. But if you cannot do that, then reduce your tax incidence, reduce the quantum of tax that you want to pay. But eventually, it's better to pay your taxes than to do things for the sake of avoidance of tax and complicate issues. So look at the wholesome picture and then work towards it.
Great. You have had such an awesome insight about the whole thing. Anything else which inspired you to go into this journey?
My own life actually got me into this journey, and it started with, I had actually started my career with banking. And at some point, and then I did my CFA when my daughter was young. And then I, thought I should become an entrepreneur, and I got into entrepreneurship without doing the financial planning that I just advised everybody about. I was very young and I thought it's, we can do it. We can handle anything, right? And you believe in yourself, your skill set, and, you can sustain. And of course, you can sustain when you're young. It's not that difficult. However, at that time, I was running a software training center. And when the dot-com bust hit, we lost our wealth. So me and my husband both lost all the wealth that we had created till then. And I had a child to support and things like that. So I took a conscious break. And the other thing which, I keep saying all the time is that I come from a finance background. And I should have known what to do, right? So I kind of knew what I was doing. It's not like I didn't know. But however, and that's what I say, that, there's a huge gap between knowing what to do and doing it. And that was my own experience in life and journey. So, and I have also, as a woman, I've taken a long break, spent time at home, raised my kids, and I'm very proud of what I've done. And it was done out of choice. It was not done out of any pressure for myself. And so that's where I feel that there is a need for women to have that kind of safe space to work with, because I know that when I lost everything, I still recall the few people who helped me and those who we think are our friends, and then you really know the difference between who's there for you and who's not. And so it's important to have an ecosystem which supports you in your financial journey. And which is why when I chose to come back to work, I was looking at what is my skill set, what is my passion, and where can I make a difference. My skill set was finance technically. My experience has been a lot of ups and downs in finance, because I've also personally, when we lost the money, I took responsibility of the fact that I was responsible for it. So I worked with whatever, we started at that point in time, which is why the investment became a habit and a journey. And then I wanted to give back to saying that if a woman is an entrepreneur and I've gone through the pain, and who is there to support her? Because those are the times when it is very, very difficult for you to involve either family or friends, and you need professionals to be able to help you through that kind of journey. So the whole idea of what I'm doing through Her-Mony is to provide a safe space for women to engage, to have a conversation, to come back to consulting, to understand what they're doing right or wrong, to make it comfortable. Because finance is not all about jargon and words that we don't understand. It's actually quite simple. It's just about basic behavior. If we can fix, you can be successful. So the idea is to give that opportunity and a safe space for people to have conversations, learn and grow through a lot of coaching techniques that we use to help clients.
So what is the period like where one can say that now I am capable of taking good financial decisions?
So the way we work is we work as consultants. So it depends on where you are. So we do a lot of questionnaires when we work with clients. And from there, so some clients are already there, but they just want us, just to check whether they're in the right space or no. Some clients maybe need to move a lot more. And we get to know those answers when we do the questionnaires or we work with the clients. So for some people, it can be done in 3 months. Some people will take 3 years. Some people it could be a continuous process. And some people want that hand holding. So it depends. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an individual. So investing is a journey. And what happens is life keeps throwing various things at us. So while we think we mastered everything, some new situation comes in life and then you again want to relearn.
Correct.
So that is what we are trying to provide, that, we are there. I mean, you can come back when something changes in your life and we'll work with you again to see what has changed. And therefore, what do we want to do new or differently for you?
Great. So now the most challenging question is how expensive is a financial planner? Like in case somebody wants to take services, is it very, very expensive to have a personal financial advisor, or how do they go about it?
So from Her-Mony, what we've done is we've made it simple for you. We categorize clients at different levels based on the questionnaires that we ask you. And the idea is not to make it so expensive that you can't, you will not reach out to an advisor. So no, it's not very expensive. It's about as expensive as going to a physical trainer or a yoga class or a coach or, anyone. It depends on where you're coming from and therefore what your needs might be and how complex that might be. But beyond that, so the way it is designed is that depending on the need, we will make it simple for you and you can still sign up. As you move along the journey, you will see successes, financial successes. And so, you could move up the value chain and the fee will, might move along the value chain as well. And by then, I'm sure the client is seeing value. So I don't see any challenge there.
Great. What is the best piece of advice that you have received?
So the best piece of advice I have received, I will say as a woman, was from a lady who I'm very grateful for, who when I had when my daughter was very young and I was very, very excited about doing a lot of things. And I used to struggle with work-home balance. And she told me a very simple thing that she said, you know what, Ratna, I love the energy and excitement that you have. But I can say only one thing, that your children are young only once. So if you want to enjoy it, just enjoy it. And soon there will be a lot of time to do everything that you want to do. And I think that's something I really want to tell a lot of women, that, enjoy that journey. More so when you are young and you have your children and you want to do so many things. Sometimes it's okay to keep it on hold. Don't overdo it, but keep it on hold and continue, come back and jump back to activities.
Awesome. I think that's a real good piece of advice, because many of them will be contemplating. Everybody wants to do everything at the same time. For this piece of advice, if really implemented, it is wonderful. What's the best compliment which you have received from your client?
So one of my clients said that, this is Ratnasri, who's my advisor. She also covers me for everything else on earth. So when in trouble, I just call her. So yeah, thank you so much for that piece of advice.
Great. If you still feel that there is something which will add value to this conversation, please feel free to add.
I'm only going to say one thing for those of you who listen to this and who feel that they want to at least try out and understand what we do offer as services. Is you can go straight to our website, www.her-mony.com, where there is a place where you can make an appointment. So it's fairly simple. That's where the questionnaire is. It's a longish questionnaire. And based on that, we discuss quickly one quick session with you to see what your requirements are. And if you would like to avail of the services, we can come back to you. So this is just for you to explore. It doesn't mean you're signing up. It just means that you're trying out to see whether you want to do this at all for yourself.
Okay, if organizations want to sign up for their employees, because employees will have a different range of salaries, and if they think of providing some kind of service to them, do you guys work with such organizations also?
Yes, we work with organizations as well. We've been doing a lot of financial education sessions in organizations, on the lines that you were asking about, right? Where do we get this? So for people who are working in organizations, you can speak to your HR and you can ask us to come and do a session for you. And I'm actually looking at seeing how we can enable organizations, not just do financial education sessions, because that doesn't really empower you in any format, but how to create a continuous engagement process by which your own employees will take the onus of making a difference, within the organization. I'm working on that structure, and I'm open to starting with whoever's ready to start.
Mm-hmm. I think along with physical health, mental health, physical fitness, mental fitness, financial fitness, this is a very, 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 very important topic.
Absolutely. You have to just get on the treadmill. That's the only solution.
But getting onto the treadmill is a challenge. But I think once people get onto it, it is very difficult to bring them back down.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's so true. Because once you get, it's like your physical fitness, you get an adrenaline high, they say, right? And I think investing is also like that. You get this adrenaline high once you get used to, saving, investing, and continuously watching the market. It's very satisfying and it's very exciting as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, what works for the household, again, and that's why from what you said earlier, right? So what works for you, what works for him, and then what works for the household have to be segregated out. And at some level, you should empower your children also to say what works for the children. So empower them with what they can do as well.
Mm-hmm. I think just like a doctor, a family financial planner is a must going forwards for each and every household.
Yes, I think so too.
Mm-hmm. So you guys help out even in cases where they are in debt and to debt recovery also?
So we advise. So, advice is neutral to what product you're invested in. The debt is also a product that people get invested in. Yes, and people get into debt traps. because you've taken too much of a loan, and the interest payments itself is going to be it becomes a circle. So yes, that happens as well. And many a times people don't know how to come out of it, and sometimes they do have other products that they can help you balance it out, but they don't know how to go about it. And then comes a lot of baggage of not wanting to take those decisions, and the stress that you're facing at the time. So I'm also a certified financial transitionist who works with people who are going through a difficult emotional time in terms of financial decision making. So some of the tools that we've learned there is what helps us do this as well. So yes, we work with clients across products, more as an advisor on finances and not so much into just recommending an investment product.
Awesome. I think we have touched upon all the topics, which gives real insights when it comes to taking great financial decisions. And I thank you so much for all your inputs. It was wonderful chatting with you and gaining these insights. And I would be the first one to say, guys, time to take a financial planner now.
Thank you so much for that, Savita. It's so lovely to reconnect with you. It's been a long time, and it's just so lovely to see you hosting the show and for me to be in it.
I thank Ratnasri Karra from the bottom of my heart for sharing her valuable wisdom and insights. Here are my top takeaways from this amazing conversation. My first learning is that all entrepreneurs should separate their personal finances and business finances. My second learning is that first you do the investment from your income and then start pulling out money for your expenses. My third learning is that there is a huge gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. So, do not hesitate to take the advice of professional experts whenever there is a need. And the best time to invest was 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. So make use of the present moment. Do your investment today. At least start planning it. My next learning is that take responsibility during losses. Make investment as an habit so that it becomes a part of your journey. Last but not the least, this is an amazing learning for all women. Your children are young only once. So if you want to enjoy them, do it now. There would be a lot of time for everything else that you want to do. Thank you so much. Never lose out on an opportunity to learn about cultivating your inner strengths on Dream 100 Show. We strongly believe that life is just a play. We win some, we lose some, we miss some, and we mess with some. So enjoy your journey and play to the fullest. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dream 100 Show. And now, make a smart decision of taking the next step towards building your trust and your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe to Dream 100 Show and leave a review on Apple Podcast. Share your biggest takeaways with us and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. For more details, shoot an email to us. This is Savita signing off, and catch you soon in our next episode.